As I've gotten older, and especially since I've retired, I've been more concerned with my health, which I think is a good thing. I'm eating healthier, exercising more, and drinking more water since I retired. I was a teacher for 20 years and had trained myself not to drink very much water. Teachers can only use the bathroom at lunch and recess. There's often just one bathroom and tons of teachers trying to use it at those times. You would be shocked how many teachers end up with bladder infections. It's terrible. So I just didn't drink much water during the day. After I retired, I started researching all things that could improve my health. Drinking enough water was one thing that kept coming up. So I started drinking more water, and I do think it's helped with my health. I used to get a couple sinus infections every year, and when I researched it, I read that drinking more water could help. I haven't had a sinus infection in over a year since I started drinking more water. I have a filtered water system in my fridge, so that's what I was drinking. A while back, I got an email from my city titled Notice to Drinking Water Customers. Drinking water samples collected from my city had exceeded the amount of PFAS that was considered safe. Well, I had to research what PFAS even was. They're man-made forever chemicals that resist heat, oil, stains, and water. They're tasteless, colorless, and odorless. They don't break down in nature or in the human body. They're linked to health risks like cancer, liver damage, and weak immune systems. Cities are now required to notify you when the results exceed the health-based standard. Over the years, these unregulated chemicals were released into the environment from factories and other places. Once released, PFAS do not break down easily and last a long time in the environment. PFAS can seep from surface soil into groundwater. Public health officials are concerned about PFAS in drinking water because of new information about their potential human health effects. So I was obviously alarmed. I started researching it. I found an article called Mapping the PFAS Contamination Crisis. I'll link it below. There's an interactive map that shows PFAS pollution in water systems in the U.S. It's a little scary. It says the number of U.S. communities confirmed to be contaminated with toxic PFAS chemicals continues to grow at an alarming rate. I looked up the organization that wrote the article, and some reviews say they may be an alarmist source, while some found it helpful, so keep that in mind. But it's obviously a thing if my city was required to inform me of the levels in our drinking water. I asked ChatGPT if my fridge water filtration system would filter out PFAS. I have a Frigidaire fridge and buy and replace these expensive water filters. I would do it every 6 months. They cost $45 each. I assumed I was drinking pure, safe water. AI told me that in fact, no, these filters are not specifically certified or rated to remove certain PFAS chemicals. So then I researched what would filter out those chemicals. AI said I could use an under-sink filtration system or a reverse osmosis system. That sounded expensive to me. My son uses a Brita pitcher, so I asked if that would work. AI said Brita filters are only proven to reduce chlorine taste, odor, zinc, and cadmium, leaving forever chemicals behind. So then I asked AI what other options there were. AI came up with a list of 3 top options for home water filter pitchers that would work. I bought a zero water pitcher, but there were several to choose from. I have no affiliation with any of these. These pitchers filter out PFAS chemicals, making them entirely different from standard refrigerator filters in terms of contaminant removal. My zero water pitcher came with a TDS water quality meter that detects total dissolved solids. You keep testing your water, and when it reads 006 or higher, then you're supposed to change the filter. So the filtered water read 000 when I set it up, but I wondered if the meter actually worked. I decided to test it on different kinds of water. First, I checked some distilled water that I had. It read 000 also. Then I tested bottled drinking water. I don't buy bottled water, but I just happened to have a bottle that I got at an event. It tested 023. Then I decided to check my filtered fridge water. It read 183. It was time to replace my fridge filter, so I replaced it, ran 1.5 gallons of water through it as the instructions tell you to, and then tested again. It now tested at 219. That is weird. I'm thinking maybe that number will get lower after more water filters through it. I'll check it again in a couple weeks. Then I tested my tap water. It tested 212. I was a little freaked out. So then I researched how a TDS meter actually works. A TDS meter actually does not show if water is contaminated with harmful pathogens or poisons. It only measures the electrical current of dissolved mineral ions in the water, and it shows a general total number. It cannot tell the difference between healthy minerals and dangerous pollutants. High TDS is not always bad. Healthy minerals like calcium and magnesium make a TDS reading go up, even though the water is safe and healthy to drink. And low TDS is not always safe. Crystal clear water with a very low TDS reading can still contain deadly bacteria or invisible chemical poisons. So I guess the meter is just telling me if the filter that's supposed to filter out harmful chemicals is working or not. It verifies that the filter is actively purifying the water and signals when the cartridge needs to be replaced. So hopefully I'm not getting these toxic chemicals in my body anymore. What we put into our bodies nowadays is scary. Modern foods contain man-made chemicals, heavy processing, hormones, and artificial ingredients that are hard to trust. I try to buy organic, eat whole foods, and mostly cook at home. I've increased the amount of protein I eat after tracking it and realizing I wasn't getting enough protein and other things like this. But I had never really thought about my filtered fridge water not being good enough. I'm now actively filtering my drinking water. I've also upgraded some of my cookware. I just finally ordered glass containers to keep food in, and I'm gonna get rid of my plastics. I think it's time for another decluttering video. I need to stop microwaving food inside plastic containers. That's something I kept getting comments on my cooking videos, and I've realized that I need to stop doing that. I wash fruits and vegetables before eating them, even organic ones. I wanted to share this because my fridge filtered drinking water is something I had never thought about before, and I feel like many people in this YouTube community also worry about their health and want to learn about what could potentially be unhealthy. I would love to hear from you. Do you have a water filtration system? If so, what kind do you have? What other things do you do to avoid toxic chemicals? If you want to share, feel free to leave a comment. If you're seeing me for the first time, hi, I'm Julie and this channel's Happy on Monday. Thanks for joining me. If you found this helpful, please like. And if you're interested in early retirement, consider subscribing. I'm going to leave you with a quote. The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Hope to see you again soon.